The security camera footage didn't lie. Chukwuemeka Okonkwo stood in the cramped guardhouse at the gates of his own mansion in Lekki Phase 1, Lagos, watching his wife Ngozi through the grainy monitor as she wrapped her arms around another man in their bedroom. His bedroom. The man's face came into view as they turned toward the window, and Chukwuemeka's blood turned to ice. It was his wife's cousin, Obinna. What would you do if you discovered your spouse's betrayal through your own hidden cameras? Hit like if you've ever felt that gut-wrenching moment of truth, and comment below where you're watching from. 3 months ago, Chukwuemeka had been one of Nigeria's most successful real estate developers, worth over 2 billion naira. He'd built his empire from nothing, starting as a bricklayer in ABA before moving to Lagos with dreams bigger than his empty pockets. When he met Ngozi Adeyemi at a church service in Victoria Island, he thought he'd found his perfect match. She was beautiful, educated, and came from a respected Yoruba family in Ikeja. Her parents, Chief and Mrs. Adeyemi, welcomed him warmly despite his Igbo background, and Ngozi seemed to love him genuinely. They married within a year. That was 5 years ago. But lately, Chukwuemeka had noticed changes. Ngozi's family had always been close, perhaps too close. Her mother visited unannounced, criticizing everything from the house staff to Chukwuemeka's business decisions. Her father constantly suggested better investments that always seemed to benefit his own failing import business. Her younger brother Tund had moved into their guest house temporarily 2 years ago and showed no signs of leaving. And her cousin Obinna, who claimed to be a struggling photographer, was always around, always needing something. The whispers started at his company headquarters. His assistant mentioned seeing Ngozi at a restaurant in Ikoyi with a man who wasn't him. His driver made a strange comment about extra passengers when Chukwuemeka was traveling. His business partner, Ademola, pulled him aside at their office in Lagos Island and said, "Brother, watch your back at home." So Chukwuemeka devised a test. A dangerous, elaborate test. He staged his own 5 minutes later, Ngozi appeared at the gate, wrapped in a silk robe that Chukwuemeka had bought her in Dubai. She didn't even look at his face. "Where's the package?" she snapped. Chukwuemeka kept his voice low, roughened by the fake accent he'd been using. "My apologies, madam. The delivery man just left. He said he'd return tomorrow." Ngozi huffed in annoyance. As she turned to leave, she paused. "You're new here, aren't you?" His heart pounded. "Yes, madam. 2 weeks now." "Well, learn to be more efficient. I don't have time for incompetence." She started walking away, then stopped again. "What's your name?" "Emeka, madam." She laughed, a cruel sound. "Emeka. Like my useless ex-husband. Well, at least you have a job. He's probably begging on the streets by now." She walked back into the mansion, leaving Chukwuemeka standing in the shadows. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Ademola: "Just saw the news. Your ex-business partner from Abuja is asking questions. He knows something's off. We need to move faster." Chukwuemeka's jaw clenched. If word got out before tomorrow, the mainland bridge at 6 a.m. was a river of early morning traffic. Danfo buses honked aggressively, Okada riders weaved between cars, and street hawkers were already setting up their wares. Chukwuemeka stood by the railing, still dressed in his security guard uniform, watching the Lagos Lagoon flow beneath him. Have you ever been blackmailed by someone who knew your deepest secret? Drop a like if you'd confront them head-on, and let us know where you're joining us from in the comments. His phone buzzed. The unknown number: "Turn around." Chukwuemeka turned slowly. A woman stood 10 feet away, wearing a black hijab and sunglasses despite the early hour. She was young, maybe late 20s, and something about her posture seemed familiar. "Do I know you?" he asked. She removed her sunglasses. Chukwuemeka's breath caught. It was Amina, his former house help. The quiet girl from Kano who'd worked for him and Ngozi for 3 years before suddenly quitting 2 months ago, right before his staged bankruptcy. "Amina? You're the blackmailer?" "I'm not blackmailing you, sir," she said quickly, her Hausa accent thick with emotion. "I'm trying to save you." "Save me? You demanded money." "No, sir. Read the message again." Chukwuemeka pulled out his phone and reread it. The message didn't actually demand money. It said, "It will cost you, but cost what?" "I don't understand," he said. Amina looked around nervously. "Sir, can we go somewhere more private? There are things you need to know. Things about Madame Ngozi and her family that are much worse than you think." 20 minutes later, they sat in a small bukka in Yaba, surrounded by early morning customers eating akara and pap. Amina ordered nothing, just nervously twisted a napkin in her hands. "Talk," Chukwuemeka said. "Sir, do you remember when I quit? You thought it was because of your financial troubles. But that's not why." "Then why?" Amina's eyes filled with tears. "Because Madame Ngozi threatened to kill me if I didn't leave." Chukwuemeka leaned forward. What? 3 months ago, I saw something. I was cleaning Madam's bathroom and I found pills. Not regular medicine, pills for making someone sick. Poison, sir. Hidden in her makeup drawer. The breakfast sounds around them faded. Chukwuemeka felt his world tilt. I confronted her, Amina continued. I asked what they were for. She laughed and said they were for rats. But sir, we didn't have rats. We never had rats. And these pills were prescription, something that will either save my life or end it. But I can't run anymore. And I can't let her hurt anyone else. He looked at the flash drive in his hand. Can you get me back into the house? Without being seen? There's a service entrance by the kitchen. It's never locked during the day because the catering staff use it. But sir, I need to see those pills. I need proof. And I need to know what she's planning for tonight. That's too dangerous. Amina, she's planning to kill me anyway. I'd rather face her on my terms. They sat in silence for a moment. Around them, Lagos was waking up fully. Generators roared to life. Market women shouted prices. The city moved forward, indifferent to the drama playing out in one of its millions of stories. There's something else, Amina said quietly. About Chief Adeyemi. He's not really Madam's father. Chukwuemeka froze. What? I heard them fighting once. Madam Ngozi and her mother. It was about inheritance, about who deserves what from your money. Mrs. Adeyemi said something like, after everything I did to make sure you could pass as his daughter. I didn't understand it then, but now you think Ngozi isn't really an Adeyemi. I think there are a lot of lies in that family, sir. Lies that go back years. Chukwuemeka's mind spun with possibilities. Who was Ngozi, really? What was her real story? And how deep did this conspiracy go? His phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number, different from before. This one contained a single photo. It was Jeremiah, his former driver. In the photo, he was tied to a chair in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. His face was bruised, his eye swollen shut. And he was holding today's newspaper. The message below the photo read, "Your Gateman disguise was clever. But not clever enough. If you want him alive, you'll transfer 50 million naira to the account below. You have until midnight. Tell anyone, and he dies. We're watching you." Amina gasped as she saw the photo over his shoulder. Ya Allah. They have him. Sir, you have to pay. This isn't about money, Chukwuemeka said coldly. The dinner party began at exactly 7 p.m. Chukwuemeka watched from the guardhouse as luxury cars poured through the gates. Range Rovers, Mercedes G-Wagons, Porsches, Lagos's elite arriving in their finest. Women in elaborate geli head wraps and designer aso-ebi. Men in agbada and expensive watches. The air filled with laughter and the sound of Afrobeats pumping from the outdoor speakers. If you were planning the ultimate revenge at your own home, would you be able to stay calm? Hit that like button if you'd be nervous, and tell us where you're watching from. Through his earpiece, a tiny device Amina had smuggled to him earlier, he could hear everything happening in the main dining room. Amina, reinstated as serving staff for the evening, had hidden a recording device in the flower centerpiece. Ngozi's voice came through clearly, "Everyone, thank you so much for coming to celebrate this new chapter in my life. As you all know, my marriage to Chukwuemeka ended tragically with his financial collapse. But I've learned that sometimes God removes people from your life to make room for better blessings." Polite laughter. Chukwuemeka's jaw clenched. Chief Okafor's booming voice, "And we're all here to support you, my dear. A woman of your quality should never have to settle for a man who can't maintain his success." More agreement from the guests. Chukwuemeka recognized voices, business associates who'd once called him friend, society women who'd attended his wedding, people who'd benefited from his generosity. Now they were vultures, circling his wife. Mrs. Adeyemi's shrill voice, "Please, everyone, eat. We have plenty of food. Jollof rice from the best caterer in Lagos, peppered snail, suya, pounded yam with egusi soup. And for our special guest," Ngozi interrupted, her voice turning sweet, "the gateman who's been so diligent these past weeks, we have a special plate being prepared." Chukwuemeka's blood ran cold. Through the window, he could see Ngozi in a gold dress, smiling at her guests. But her eyes flicked toward the guardhouse with unmistakable malice. She knew. His phone vibrated. A text from Amina, "She's adding something to your food. White powder. I saw her do it in the kitchen. What should I do?" He texted back quickly, "Don't let anyone eat but sir, the man with the gun will have to come down here if he wants to kill me. And that's when the police will have him." He pulled out his phone and started recording a video. "Go. Now. And Amina? Whatever happens in the next few minutes, run. Don't look back. Just run." She hesitated, then nodded, and her retrio. Continue. Reed backed toward the mansion, the poison plate trembling in her hands. Chukwuemeka stepped out of the guardhouse, into full view. He looked up at Tolu's window and raised his phone, making sure the camera was visible. "I'm recording everything," he shouted. "Every word you said is saved to the cloud. If I die, it goes to the police automatically." The figure in the window shifted. For a moment, nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. Tolu burst out of the mansion's side door, gun drawn. At the same moment, police vehicles screamed through the gates, 3 cars, sirens blaring. Detective Okonkwo's voice through a megaphone, "Drop your weapon. Lagos State Police." Tolu spun, confused, caught between Chukwuemeka and the advancing police. He made the wrong choice and raised his gun toward the detective. 4 shots rang out. Tolu went down. Inside the mansion, guests began screaming. Through the windows, Chukwuemeka could see people running, ducking, confused. Ngozi appeared at the front door, her gold dress shimmering in the outdoor lights, her face a mask of shock. "What is happening?" she shrieked. "This is a private party. You can't just." Detective Okonkwo approached her calmly. "Mrs. Ngozi Okonkwo, we have a warrant for your arrest on suspicion of attempted murder. I'm fine, Amina. Thanks to you." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. He'd prepared it this morning, hoping he'd survive to deliver it. "This is for you. Enough money to finish university, to take care of your mother, to start over wherever you want. You earned it." She opened the envelope and gasped at the check inside. "Sir, this is too much. It's not enough for the risk you took. For the courage you showed." He smiled. "You saved my life, Amina. Several times over." Tears streamed down her face. "What will you do now, sir?" "Good question." Chukwuemeka looked at the mansion, his mansion, bought with his money, filled with his things. He'd won it back. Won everything back. His wealth was secure, his enemies were arrested, his reputation would recover. But standing here, in his security guard uniform, surrounded by police and gawking guests and the wreckage of his marriage, he felt empty. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I'll figure it out." A commotion at the gate drew everyone's attention. A news van had arrived, then another. The media feeding frenzy was beginning. Chukwuemeka groaned. "Mr. Okonkwo." A reporter shoved a microphone toward him. "Is it true you faked your bankruptcy to catch your wife cheating? Can you comment on the attempted murder? What about the Adeyemi family's connections to?" Ademola stepped between them. "No comment at this time. Mr. Okonkwo will release a statement through his lawyers. Please respect his privacy." But more reporters were arriving. More cameras. This was going to be everywhere by midnight. Chukwuemeka's phone rang. An international number. He answered cautiously. "Mr. Okonkwo? This is Sarah Chen from CNN International. We're preparing a story about your case. We understand you have proof of a conspiracy spanning multiple years. Would you be willing to give an exclusive interview?" He hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Sky News. Then BBC. Then Al Jazeera. "You're going to be famous," Ademola said, not sounding happy about it. "I'm going to be a circus," Chukwuemeka corrected. "This is exactly what I didn't want." But as he watched the police escort Ngozi and her parents into separate vehicles, "I have nothing to say to her. She claims it's about your safety. About the threat you received last night. She says there are things you don't know. Things that put you in more danger than you realize." Chukwuemeka's exhaustion warred with his curiosity. "Is this a trap? We'll be present the entire time. She can't hurt you here. But I think you should hear what she has to say. Not for her sake. For yours." 40 minutes later, Chukwuemeka sat in an interrogation room at the Area F police station in Ikeja. Ngozi was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her makeup smeared, her perfect hair disheveled. She looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. She sat down across from him, handcuffed, hands folded on the table. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. "You look terrible," she finally said. "You tried to kill me." "I know." No denial. No excuses. Just flat acknowledgement. "And I'm going to prison for it. My lawyers say 10 to 15 years minimum. More if they prove premeditation." "They will. Because there was premeditation." She nodded. "I didn't ask you here to beg for mercy. I know I don't deserve it. I asked you here because despite everything, I don't want you dead. And if you don't listen to what I'm about to tell you, you will be." "I'm listening." Ngozi leaned forward. "The Adeyemi family, they're not just con artists, Chukwuemeka. They're part of something bigger. Much bigger. My father, Chief Adeyemi, he's connected to people you don't want to cross. Politicians. Military officials. People who've made fortunes through government contracts and drug trafficking. I don't care about their connections. You should. Because when you exposed us last night, you exposed them too. The money my father was stealing from you? Some of it was going to pay debts to these people. Debts that are now not going to be paid. And they're going to blame you. Chukwuemeka felt ice in his veins. What are you saying? I'm saying the text you got last night wasn't an empty threat. There are people who want you dead now. Not for revenge. For practical reasons. You're a loose end. A witness to money laundering and fraud that goes way beyond our family. Then I'll tell the police everything. It won't matter. These people have reach. Into the police. Into the courts. Into everywhere. She looked at him with something that might have been genuine concern. Chukwuemeka, you need to leave Nigeria. Tonight. Tomorrow at the latest. Take your money and disappear. Run? After everything I just fought to keep? Yes. Run. Because staying means dying. Her voice cracked. I know you hate me. You should hate me. But I'm trying to save your life. Please, just this once, listen to me. Detective Okonkwo, who'd been standing quietly in the corner, stepped forward. Mrs. Okonkwo, are you saying you have specific information about threats against your husband? I'm saying I know how these people operate. I grew up around them. And I know that someone who embarrasses them publicly, who costs them money, who threatens their operations, that person. The SUV drove for 40 minutes, leaving the busy streets of Lagos Island and heading toward the outskirts near Badagry. Chukwuemeka sat in the back seat between two silent bodyguards, both built like professional fighters. The man in expensive sunglasses sat in the passenger seat, occasionally speaking in hushed Yoruba to the driver. Have you ever been in a situation where you had no choice but to trust dangerous strangers? Hit that subscribe button if you're on the edge of your seat, and let us know where you're watching from. They pulled up to a compound surrounded by high walls topped with barbed wire. Inside, the property was surprisingly beautiful, manicured lawns, a fountain, expensive cars parked in a neat row. It looked like a legitimate businessman's estate. Which, Chukwuemeka thought grimly, was probably the point. He was led into a large sitting room decorated with African art and leather furniture. A man sat in a high-backed chair by the window, his face shadowed. He was older, maybe 70s, with gray hair and the bearing of someone accustomed to absolute authority. Mr. Okonkwo, the man said, his voice surprisingly gentle. Please, sit. Would you like something to drink? Water? Palm wine? I want to know who you are and why I'm here. The man smiled. Direct. I appreciate that. My name is Chief Obiakwem. And you're here because you've become a problem that needs solving. Let me guess. You're connected to Chief Adeyemi. Connected? I own him. Have for years. He borrowed money from me to maintain his lifestyle, to fund his failing businesses, to keep up appearances. When he couldn't pay, he offered me something more valuable, access to your wealth through his daughter's marriage. The pieces fell into place. The whole marriage was a setup. From the beginning. Ngozi was instructed to find a wealthy, naive target. You fit perfectly. Young, successful, lonely. Chief Adeyemi arranged for you to meet at that church service. It wasn't coincidence. Chukwuemeka felt sick. Everything was a lie. Not everything. I believe Ngozi did develop some affection for you. Which is why she hesitated so long before implementing the final solution. She was supposed to kill you 2 years ago. But she kept delaying, finding excuses. Love makes people weak. If you know all this, why tell me now? Chief Ekwem stood and walked to a cabinet, pouring himself what looked like expensive whiskey. Because the situation has changed. Your little revenge scheme exposed operations that were meant to remain hidden. Money flows that can't be explained. Connections that powerful people want kept quiet. You've made enemies in very high places, Mr. Okonkwo. So kill me and solve your problem. Kill you? Chief Ekwem laughed. And create an even bigger scandal? The billionaire who exposed his wife's murder plot mysteriously dies days later? No, that would draw far too much attention. We need something more elegant. He returned to his chair, studying Chukwuemeka like a specimen. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave Nigeria. Today. I have a private plane ready. You'll go to South Africa, Dubai, London, anywhere but here. You'll transfer 60% of your wealth to accounts I'll provide. Consider it a tax for your indiscretion in embarrassing my associates. And if I refuse? Then people you care about start dying. Your business partner Ademola. How large? 60% of liquid assets. Silence. Then, brother, that's over ₦1 billion. If you're being extorted, I'm handling it. Just do what I ask. Please. Another pause. There might be another way. I have contacts. People who deal with situations like this. Let me make some calls. No calls. No contacts. Just do what I'm asking. Chukwuemeka, if you transfer that money, you're setting a precedent. They'll come back for more. They'll never stop. I know. But right now, I need to buy time. Time to think. Time to plan. Can you do it or not? I can do it. But I don't like it. Neither do I. Make the arrangements. I'll call you back in 2 hours. Chukwuemeka hung up and immediately called Detective Okonkwo from his regular phone. Mr. Okonkwo. We've been looking for you. You disappeared from the police station and I was kidnapped. By a man named Chief Obi-Akwem. He's extorting me for money and threatening to kill my associates if I don't comply. Chief Akwem. The detective's voice changed, became wary. Are you sure that's who you met? He told me his name. Why? Because Chief Obi-Akwem is one of the most powerful men in Lagos. Connections to the highest levels of government. Suspected involvement in everything from drug trafficking to arms dealing, but we've never been able to touch him. If he's involved in this, then what? You can't help me? I didn't say that. But it means we have to be very careful. If he has people inside the police force, which he probably does, then any move we make could be leaked. We need to involve federal authorities. Maybe even Interpol. I don't have time for that. He wants the money transferred by this afternoon. Don't transfer it. That's evidence of extortion. We can use it to. Detective, he threatened to kill 3 people I care about. I'm not risking their lives for evidence. If you pay him, you'll be funding criminal operations. Money laundering. Possibly terrorism. I can't let you do that. Then stop me. Arrest me. Put me in protective custody. Chukwuemeka's voice rose. But if you do, make sure you can protect Ademola, Jeremiah, and Amina. Can you guarantee their safety? Silence. That's what I thought, Chukwuemeka said. Look, I'll wear a wire or whatever you need. I'll cooperate fully. But I'm not letting innocent people die because the police can't do their job. That's not fair. None of this is fair. My wife tried to kill me. Chukwuemeka's mind raced. Not his house, they'd be watching it. Not his office, same problem. Not the police station, Chief Akwem had people there. Ikeja, he said. The airport. As the taxi merged into traffic, Chukwuemeka called Ademola. Brother. I heard gunshots on your call with that journalist. Are you? I'm alive. Listen, change of plans. Don't transfer any money. Chief Akwem just tried to kill me. The deal's off. What? Where are you? Heading to the airport. I need you to do something for me. Remember our emergency protocol? The one we set up in case of political instability? They'd created it years ago, a contingency plan for evacuating key personnel and assets if Nigeria became too dangerous. Offshore accounts activated, plane tickets purchased, safe houses secured. I remember. You want me to activate it? Yes. For you, for Jeremiah, for Amina, and for me. We're all leaving Nigeria. Today. Within the next few hours. That's a massive operation. It'll take time to. We don't have time. Chief Akwem's people are hunting us. We leave now or we die here. Silence. Then, okay. Give me 2 hours. I'll arrange everything. Where should we meet? Not the main airport. Too obvious. The private terminal in Ikeja. The one near the military base. Arrange for a charter flight. I don't care where it goes, Ghana, Togo, anywhere but Nigeria. We'll figure out the rest later. Consider it done. And Chukwuemeka? The security I arranged earlier for all of us, it's already in place. Armed guards are with Jeremiah at the hospital. I have my own protection. You need to get some too. Working on it. He hung up and immediately called Detective Okonkwo. Chukwuemeka. I just got a report of a shooting at a hotel in Victoria Island. Was that? That was Chief Akwem trying to kill me. Detective, I need police protection. Now. I'm heading to the airport to leave the country, but I need to survive the next few hours. I'll send a unit to escort you. Where are you exactly? Chukwuemeka looked out the taxi window, trying to identify landmarks. We just passed the National Stadium. Heading toward Ikeja on Funsho Williams Avenue. Stay on the line. I'm dispatching units now. 10 minutes later, 2 police vehicles flanked their taxi. Detective Okonkwo himself was in one of them. They formed a convoy, racing toward Ikeja. Chukwuemeka's phone rang. The journalist, Chidi. Mr. Okonkwo. I heard shooting. Are you alive? Barely. Chief Akwem's not playing games. Which is exactly why we need to strike now. I'm preparing to publish everything. All my evidence about his operations. But I need your story too. Can you send me documents? Recordings? Anything linking the Adeyemi family to him? I don't have time. Make time. Once this story breaks, Chief Akwem will be so busy defending himself that he won't be able to focus on killing you. It's your best protection. Chukwuemeka thought frantically. Amina's flash drive. The one with evidence of Ngozi's embezzlement and the Adeyemi family schemes. Amina, he said, that flash drive you gave me yesterday. Is it in your possession? She pulled it from her purse. Yes, sir. I kept a copy. Can you send those files to someone? Right now? If I have internet access, yes. Chukwuemeka gave Chitty's email address to Amina. She used her phone's data connection to upload the files while the convoy sped through Lagos traffic. Done, sir, she said after a few minutes. Everything sent. Chitty called back immediately. I've got the files. This is gold. Bank transfers, communication records, connections between Chief Adeyemi and offshore accounts controlled by Ekweem's organizations. Mr. Okonkwo, this might actually work. At 2:45 p.m., as the plane taxied toward the runway, Chukwuemeka's phone rang one final time. Unknown number. He answered. Yes? Mr. Okonkwo. Chief Ekweem's voice was ice cold. I see you've chosen death. For you and everyone you care about. I've chosen exposure. In 15 minutes, every crime you've committed for the past decade will be published online. Bank records, murder confessions, political bribes, everything. You're finished, Chief. A pause. Then laughter. You naive fool. Do you think a news article will stop me? I've weathered scandals before. I'll weather this one. But you? You've signed your death warrant. And everyone on that plane with you. We'll see. Yes, we will. Enjoy your flight, Mr. Okonkwo. I'll be seeing you very soon. The call ended. The plane lifted off at 2:50 p.m. Through the window, Chukwuemeka watched Lagos shrink beneath them. The city that had made him. The city that had nearly killed him. He didn't know if he'd ever see it again. At exactly 3 p.m., Chitty's article went live. Chukwuemeka read it on his phone as they climbed to cruising altitude. The headline, exposed, how Lagos crime lord Chief Obi Ekweem used marriage scam to target billionaire. The article was devastating. Names, dates, bank transfers, everything. Photos of Chief Ekweem meeting with known criminals. Testimony from former associates. Links to unsolved murders. Evidence of political corruption at the highest levels. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Twitter exploded. News channels picked it up. Government officials began issuing statements. The police announced an investigation. Chief Ekweem's carefully constructed empire was crumbling in real time. Ademola, reading the same article, whistled. Brother, you just made yourself the most famous man in Nigeria. Maybe all of West Africa. Or the most wanted, Chukwuemeka countered. Where are we even going? Amina asked nervously. The pilots said they're heading to Accra first, but then what? Then we figure out our next move. Find somewhere safe. Regroup. Maybe involve Interpol or international authorities who aren't in Chief Ekweem's pocket. Jeremiah, lying on a makeshift stretcher, spoke weakly. Boss, do you think he can really reach us outside Nigeria? Honestly? I don't know. But I'd rather take my chances in another country than stay in Lagos waiting to be killed. The plane's satellite phone rang. The pilot answered, then called back to Chukwuemeka. Sir, we have a problem. Air traffic control in Accra is refusing to clear us for landing. They're saying there's a warrant for your arrest. Issued by Interpol. For financial crimes. Everyone froze. That's impossible, Ademola said. We haven't committed any financial crimes. And Interpol warrants take weeks to process. Unless someone with connections fast-tracked it, Chukwuemeka said quietly. Chief Ekweem. So what do we do? The pilot asked. We can't land in Accra. We don't have clearance. Can we make it to another country? Togo? Benin? Maybe. But if there's an Interpol warrant, they'll all refuse us. We could try South Africa, but we're low on fuel. We'd need to land somewhere to refuel, and everywhere we try to land, the warrant follows us. Chukwuemeka slumped in his seat. He's trapped us. We're in the air with nowhere to go. His phone buzzed. A message from Chief Ekweem. Enjoying your flight? I told you. I own everyone. Even Interpol has people who owe me favors. You can't run from me. So here's my new offer, land back in Lagos. Face the music. Serve your time for the financial crimes you committed. And maybe, just maybe, your friends survive. Keep running, and I guarantee they all die. Your choice. Ademola read the message over his shoulder. He's bluffing. He has to be. Is he? Chukwuemeka showed him another message that had just arrived. A video. In the video, Detective Okonkwo was being arrested at the airport terminal they'd just left. Multiple officers surrounding him, forcing him into handcuffs. His protests were clearly audible. This is illegal. I'm a detective. You can't. The video cut off. Another message. The plane circled over the Atlantic Ocean, burning fuel with nowhere to land. Chukwuemeka stared at his phone, at Chief Ekwim's threats, at the video of Detective Okonkwo being arrested. His hand shook with rage and helplessness. What would you sacrifice to save the people you love? Hit like if you'd risk everything, and comment where you're watching from. How much fuel do we have? He asked the pilot. Maybe 90 minutes of flight time. After that, we're gliding into the ocean. 90 minutes to decide between surrender and death. Chukwuemeka closed his eyes, thinking. There had to be another option. There was always another option. His phone rang. Chidi, the journalist. Mr. Okonkwo. The story is exploding. Millions of views in the first hour. The Nigerian Senate is calling for emergency sessions. International human rights organizations are demanding investigations. You did it. Chief Ekwim is. He's winning, Chukwuemeka interrupted. He's issued a fake Interpol warrant against me. Trapped us in the air. Had Detective Okonkwo arrested. Chidi, he's not finished at all. He's consolidating power while everyone's distracted by your article. What? How is that possible? Because he's been doing this for decades. He knows how to weather storms. He sacrifices some pawns, protects his kings, and emerges stronger. I underestimated him. So what now? Now I need you to publish something else. A follow-up article. About me. About you. Yes. Tell my story. Not as a victim, but as someone fighting back. Include everything, my disguise as the Gateman, the evidence I gathered, my wife's murder plot, and most importantly, Chief Ekwim's current threats. Make me sympathetic. Make people care. Because right now, I need public opinion on my side. It's the only weapon I have left. I can do that. But Mr. Okonkwo, if you want maximum impact, you need to give me an interview. Live. On video. Let people see your face, hear your voice. It'll be more powerful than any article I write. Chukwuemeka looked at his companions. Can you set it up quickly? I can have you on a live stream in 20 minutes. Through WhatsApp video if necessary. I'll promote it through all our social media. It'll reach millions. Do it. 20 minutes later, Chukwuemeka sat in the plane's leather seat with his phone propped up, staring into the camera. Beneath him, the ocean stretched endlessly. Behind him, Ademola, Amina, and even Jeremiah from his stretcher, all visible in the frame. Chidi appeared on split screen. We're live in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, Chidi began. I'm here with Chukwuemeka Okonkwo, the billionaire businessman whose story has shocked Nigeria today. Mr. Okonkwo, you're currently on a plane with nowhere to land. Can you tell our viewers what's happening? Chukwuemeka took a breath. 3 months ago, I discovered my wife was planning to murder me. Not for love, not for passion, but for money. She and her family conspired with a crime lord named Chief Obi Ekwim to steal my wealth. When I exposed them, Chief Ekwim tried to extort me. When I refused, he tried to kill me. And now, he's used his political connections to issue a fake Interpol warrant, trapping me in the air while he hunts down everyone I care about. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? I saw the poison. I saw the evil in that family. Mr. Okonkwo saved my life by exposing them. He's a good man. Please, help him. Even Jeremiah managed to sit up slightly. I'm Jeremiah Bassi, Mr. Okonkwo's driver. Chief Adeyemi's people kidnapped me, tortured me, tried to make me sign false confessions. Mr. Okonkwo rescued me at great personal risk. If he's a criminal, then I don't understand what being good means anymore. The live stream viewer count hit 500,000, then 600,000. It was going viral. Comments from across Africa, from the diaspora in America and Europe, from people in Asia and beyond. Chukwuemeka's phone exploded with calls and messages. News organizations wanting interviews. Lawyers offering help. Strangers offering prayers and support. And then, one message stood out. From an international number with a UK country code, Mr. Okonkwo, this is Barbara Mitchell with Interpol's Anti-Corruption Task Force. I'm watching your live stream. The warrant issued against you is not authentic. It was never processed through proper channels. We're investigating how someone managed to forge our credentials. I'm sending verification codes to prove this message is legitimate. You are not wanted by Interpol. Repeat, not wanted. Chukwuemeka's hands shook as he read the verification codes, checked them against Interpol's official website. They matched. Chidi, he said, barely able to contain his emotion, I just received confirmation from Interpol. The warrant against me is fake. Chief Ekwim forged it. He showed the message on camera. The comment section exploded. Chidi was speechless for a moment, then recovered. This is huge. Mr. Okonkwo, what does this mean for you? It means we can land somewhere. It means his trap failed. He called to the pilot, can you contact air traffic control in Accra again? Tell them we have confirmation from Interpol that the warrant is fraudulent. Minutes passed like hours. Then the pilot called back, Accra is granting us emergency landing clearance. They want verification, but they're allowing us to land while it's processed. Relief washed over the plane. Amina started crying. Ademola laughed with pure joy. Even the stoic security guard smiled. But Chukwuemeka remained tense. He'll have people in Ghana too. The moment we land, we're vulnerable. So what do we do? Ademola asked. We land surrounded by media. Chidi, can you alert every news organization in Accra? Tell them we're landing in 30 minutes. I want cameras everywhere. Live coverage. Make it impossible for Chief Akwim to make a move without the whole world watching. I'm on it. The plane began its descent toward Kotoka International Airport in Accra. Through the window, Chukwuemeka could see the city appearing through clouds, a different country, a chance at safety, at least temporarily. His phone rang. Not Chief Akwim this time. A Nigerian number he recognized. Hello? Mr. Okonkwo, this is Chief Bola Adeyemi. A different chief, not Chief Akwim. This was a Supreme Court Justice Chukwuemeka had met once at a charity function. I'm watching your live stream along with several of my colleagues. What's being done to you is unconscionable. I want you to know that the legal community is taking notice. We're preparing emergency motions to investigate Chief Akwim's activities and to provide you with legal protection. Thank you, sir. But will it be enough? Against a man like Akwim? I don't know. But you've done something remarkable today. You've exposed him publicly in a way no one else has dared. That takes courage. And Nigeria needs more people like you. After they hung up, more calls came. Politicians condemning Chief Akwim. Business leaders offering support. Even international celebrities tweeting about the case. The plane touched down in Accra at 4:45 p.m. True to Chidi's word, the tarmac was surrounded by news vehicles. Cameras everywhere. Ghanaian police providing security. Immigration officials waiting. As they deplaned, a wall of journalists rushed forward. Questions in English, Twi, Ga, French, a cacophony of voices. Mr. Okonkwo, how does it feel to be safe? Will you return to Nigeria? What message do you have for Chief Akwim? Are you afraid for your life? Chukwuemeka raised his hand for silence. The cameras focused on him. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to Ghana for providing sanctuary. But I won't truly be safe until Chief Obi Akwim faces justice. Until his network of corruption is dismantled. Until every person he's hurt gets their day in court. He paused. This isn't just about me. This is about everyone who's been victimized by powerful men who think they're above the law. I'm asking the international community to pay attention. To investigate. To act. Because if we let men like Chief Akwim operate with impunity, we're all complicit in their crimes. The Ghanaian police escorted them to a secure location, a government safe house. You were on television, sir. The whole world knows you're in Accra. We're increasing security around your location, but I wanted you to be aware. After the call ended, Chukwuemeka stood up, suddenly alert despite his exhaustion. They're here, he told Ademola. In Accra. Looking for us. So what do? We don't sleep. We stay vigilant. And we hope that the media attention is enough to keep them from acting. The night passed slowly. Every sound seemed threatening. Every shadow could hide an assassin. The security guards rotated shifts, but Chukwuemeka couldn't rest. At 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. A message from Chief Akwim: Ghana won't protect you forever. Neither will publicity. I'm patient. I can wait. And when the world stops watching, when the news cycle moves on, when you let your guard down for just one moment, I'll be there. Sleep well, Mr. Okonkwo. Or don't. Either way works for me. Chukwuemeka showed the message to the guards, who increased their alertness. But what could they do against a threat that might come in days, weeks, or months? At dawn, Amina appeared in the doorway, looking as sleepless as he felt. Sir, can't you sleep either? No. You. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. Mrs. Ngozi with the poison. The men who shot at us. Chief Akwim's face. She shuddered. Sir, I'm scared. So am I, Amina. So am I. She sat down next to him. Do you regret it? Exposing them? Everyone keeps asking me that. And honestly? I don't know anymore. I thought revenge would feel satisfying. That justice would bring peace. But all I feel is tired. My grandmother used to say that revenge is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. Maybe she was right. Maybe. But what was the alternative? Let them kill me? Let them move on to their next victim? At least this way, I fought back. And look where it got us. Hiding in a foreign country, surrounded by guards, waiting for assassins. Chukwuemeka couldn't argue with that. As the sun rose over Accra, casting golden light across the city, Chukwuemeka's phone rang again. This time, it was Detective Okonkwo. Chukwuemeka. You're alive. Detective. I saw you being arrested. Are you okay? I was released an hour ago. All charges dropped. Turns out your live stream put so much pressure on the department that they had to let me go. But Chukwuemeka, listen carefully. Things are happening fast here in Lagos. Chief Ekweme's house was raided by federal agents. They found evidence of money laundering, drug trafficking, murder for hire. It's massive. The biggest arrest in Nigerian history. They arrested him? Not yet. He disappeared. Went underground. But they've frozen his assets, arrested dozens of his associates, shut down his operations. You did it, Chukwuemeka. You actually did it. For the first time in days, Chukwuemeka felt something like hope. What about my wife? Her family? Ngozi is cooperating with investigators, giving testimony against Chief Ekweme in exchange for a reduced sentence. Her parents are in custody, facing multiple charges. It's all coming down. So it's over? Not quite. Chief Ekweme is still out there. And he's more dangerous now than ever because he has nothing left to lose. Chukwuemeka, you need to stay in Ghana. Don't come back to Nigeria until he's caught. Promise me. I promise. After the call, Chukwuemeka shared the news with everyone in the safe house. Relief, joy, cautious celebration. They'd won. Maybe not completely, but significantly. Ademola opened a bottle of whiskey someone had left in the safe house. They toasted to survival. To justice. To hope. But even as they celebrated, Chukwuemeka couldn't shake the feeling that the most retrial continue. Dangerous part was still to come. Chief Ekweme was cornered, desperate, and vengeful. And desperate men were capable of anything. His phone buzzed. Another message from Chief Ekweme: enjoy your victory. It won't last. I built my empire once. I can build it again. But first, I'm going to destroy everything you love. Your business. Your friends. Your legacy. And then, when you have nothing left, I'll destroy you. This is just the beginning. Chukwuemeka stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. He was done being afraid. Done letting Chief Ekweme control his emotions. Ademola, he said, tomorrow I want to start planning our return to Nigeria. What? The detective just said? I know what he said. But I can't hide forever. Chief Ekweme wants me afraid, wants me running. I won't give him that satisfaction. We go back, we rebuild, we live our lives. With security, yes. With precautions, absolutely. But we don't let him win by making us prisoners of fear. Ademola studied his face. You're sure about this? No. But I'm doing it anyway. Amina spoke up from her corner. Sir, if you go back, I'm coming too. You'll need people you can trust around you. Amina, you don't have to. I know. The argument ended. Not because Ademola agreed, but because he recognized the determination in his friend's eyes. They began preparations for return. Enhanced security arrangements. Coordination with Nigerian police. A media strategy to ensure their arrival was public and documented. Harder to assassinate someone when cameras are watching. Chukwuemeka also made other arrangements. He transferred significant funds to Amina's account, enough to ensure her future regardless of what happened to him. He set up trusts for Jeremiah and his other loyal employees. He updated his will, this time ensuring that if anything happened to him, his wealth would go to charitable causes rather than any family member. You're preparing like you expect to die, Ademola observed. I'm preparing like a responsible person. There's a difference. The day before their scheduled return, Chukwuemeka received an unexpected visitor at the safe house. A woman in her 60s, well-dressed, carrying herself with dignity despite obvious nervousness. Mr. Okonkwo, my name is Patience Ekweme. I'm Chief Obi Ekweme's wife. Everyone in the room tensed. Security guards reached for weapons. But the woman raised her hands. Please, I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm here to help. May I speak with you privately? Against everyone's advice, Chukwuemeka agreed. They sat in a small room with a security guard stationed outside the door. Why are you here? He asked. Because my husband is a monster, and I want him stopped. Her voice was steady despite tears in her eyes. I've lived with his evil for 40 years. I've watched him hurt people, destroy lives, all while he came home and pretended to be a good man, a good father. I couldn't speak out before. He would have killed me. But now that he's on the run, now that his power is broken. She pulled a flash drive from her purse. This contains everything. Bank accounts he kept hidden even from his associates. Names of politicians and military officers he's paid. Evidence of murders he ordered. Everything. Chukwuemeka took the flash drive carefully. Why now? Why help me? Because you're the first person who ever stood up to him and survived long enough to matter. Because my daughter died 5 years ago from a drug overdose, and I discovered later that those drugs came from my husband's trafficking operation. Because I'm dying of cancer, and I want to do one good thing before I meet my creator. She met his eyes. And because you remind me of my son. He tried to expose his father once. My husband had him killed and made it look like an accident. I've lived with that guilt every day since. The room was silent except for her quiet sobbing. Mrs. Equim, if you testify, I'll be dead within a year anyway. Cancer. So yes, I'll testify. I'll tell everyone everything. It's the least I can do. She left 20 minutes later, escorted by police who would place her in protective custody. Chukwuemeka held the flash drive, feeling its weight. This could change everything, Ademola said after examining its contents. Financial records going back decades. Direct evidence of corruption at the highest levels of Nigerian government. Chukwuemeka, this isn't just about Chief Equim anymore. This could bring down dozens of powerful people. Good. They all deserve it. That night, Chukwuemeka couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony, looking at across lights, thinking about everything that had happened. 3 months ago, he'd been a successful businessman in a seemingly happy marriage. Now he was an international news story, a fugitive turned freedom fighter, a man who'd lost everything and somehow gained something more important. Purpose. His phone rang. An unfamiliar voice, speaking in hushed tones, Mr. Okonkwo, this is Captain Ibrahim Musa, Nigerian Army Intelligence. We've been tracking Chief Equim. Sir, I have information you need to hear. He's planning something. An attack. Not just on you, but something bigger. We intercepted communications suggesting he's hired mercenaries. Former soldiers from Chad and Niger. He's planning to strike when you return to Lagos. Not just to kill you, but to make it spectacular. A statement. A message to anyone who might think about crossing him in the future. When, as Chukwuemeka prepared his remarks, his phone buzzed with a final message from Chief Equim. Tomorrow, you die. And everyone will watch. It will be beautiful. My masterpiece. Goodbye, Mr. Okonkwo. See you in hell. Chukwuemeka showed the message to the security team, to Detective Okonkwo, to military intelligence. They tripled their preparations. But that night, alone in his hotel room with armed guards outside his door, Chukwuemeka felt the weight of his choices. He'd chosen confrontation over safety. Justice over survival. And tomorrow, he'd discover if that choice was brave or simply foolish. He called Amina. If something happens tomorrow? Nothing will happen, sir. But if it does, I want you to know that you saved my life in more ways than one. You reminded me that good people still exist. That courage matters. Thank you. Sir, you're talking like you're going to die. I'm talking like someone who knows tomorrow is uncertain. But Amina? I'm not afraid anymore. Whatever happens, I chose this. And I'd choose it again. They talked for a while longer, then he called Ademola, then Jeremiah, then others who'd stood by him. Making peace. Saying things that needed to be said. Just in case. At midnight, he finally tried to sleep. But his dreams were filled with fire and blood, with Ngozi's laugh and Chief Equim's threats, with the faces of everyone he'd loved and lost. He woke at dawn to the sound of his phone ringing. Detective Okonkwo. It's happening. We've spotted suspicious vehicles near the hotel. Military trucks that don't match any official convoys. Chukwuemeka, Chief Equim's people are here. They're preparing to strike. We need to evacuate you now. No. We stick to the plan. The press conference happens. But lock down the hotel. Don't let anyone in or out who isn't vetted. And get your people in position. This is suicide. This is justice. See you at the conference, detective. As Chukwuemeka prepared for what might be his final act, he looked at himself in the mirror. The man staring back had aged in 3 months more than most people age in years. Lines around his eyes. Gray in his beard. But also something new in his gaze. Strength. Determination. Peace. He'd been a billionaire, a husband, a victim, a gateman, a fugitive, and now, a fighter. Whatever happened in the next few hours would define his legacy. The question was, would that legacy be written in triumph or blood? Don't miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Will Chukwuemeka survive Chief Equim's final attack? Comment below your predictions. Like and share this story with everyone who loves edge-of-your-seat drama. The press conference was scheduled for 10 a.m. By 9:30, the hotel ballroom was packed with journalists, cameras, and curious spectators, but also, invisible among them, dozens of plainclothes police officers and military personnel. Snipers positioned on nearby buildings. Bomb-sniffing dogs had swept the venue 3 times. Every entrance was monitored. If you knew someone was planning to kill you, would you still show up? Hit like if you're as brave as Chukwuemeka, and tell us where you're watching from. Chukwuemeka stood backstage, wearing a bulletproof vest under his suit. Ademola stood beside him, equally armored. Amina had wanted to be on stage but was convinced to watch from a secure room upstairs with Jeremiah. Last chance to back out, Ademola said. I'm not backing out. Then let's make it count. They walked onto the stage together. Flashbulbs exploded. Cameras whirred. The room fell silent. Chukwuemeka approached the microphone. Good morning. 3 months ago, I discovered that my wife and her family were planning to murder me for my wealth. When I exposed them, I uncovered a criminal network run by Chief Obiakwim that has corrupted Nigerian society for decades. Today, I'm here to announce that I will testify against everyone involved. I will cooperate fully with law enforcement, both Nigerian and international. And I will not rest until every person who participated in these crimes faces justice. Applause erupted. But Chukwuemeka's eyes scanned the crowd, looking for threats. Where were Chief Akwim's people? When would they strike? A journalist raised her hand. Mr. Okonkwo, aren't you afraid Chief Akwim will retaliate? I'm terrified. But fear can't be allowed to paralyze justice. If good people stay silent because of fear, evil wins by default. Another journalist, do you regret exposing your wife's plot? Your life would be simpler if you just divorced quietly. Simpler? Yes. Better? No. Sometimes the right thing is hard. That doesn't make it less right. More questions. More answers. 20 minutes passed. 30. No attack came. Maybe the security presence had scared them off. Maybe Chief Akwim had reconsidered. Maybe. The lights went out. Emergency lighting clicked on, bathing the room in dim red. Screams erupted. People scrambled for exits. Stay calm. Detective Okonkwo's voice boomed through a megaphone. Everyone remain where you are. This is a security situation. Chukwuemeka felt hands grab him, security guards pulling him toward the backstage exit. But before they could move, a figure stepped onto the stage from the opposite wing. It was Chief Akwim himself. He looked older than in his photos, haggard from weeks on the run. But he still carried himself with authority. And he was holding a gun. Nobody move, he said quietly. But in the hushed room, everyone heard him. Mr. Okonkwo and I need to have a conversation. Anyone interferes, people die. Police in the crowd started to move, but Chief Akwim raised the gun toward the ceiling and fired once. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. I said, nobody move. Chukwuemeka held up his hand to his security guards. Let me talk to him. Sir, that's. Let me talk to him. He walked slowly toward Chief Akwim, hands visible, no sudden movements. They stood 10 feet apart on the stage, with hundreds of eyes watching and cameras recording everything. You've destroyed everything I built, Chief Akwim said. 40 years of work. Gone because of you. No. Gone because of you. Because you chose crime over honesty. Because you chose to hurt people for profit. Spare me the righteousness. You're no saint, Chukwuemeka. You faked bankruptcy to trick your wife. You spied on people. You manipulated everyone around you. To expose murder and theft. Not to commit them. The difference is thinner than you think. Chief Akwim's hand shook slightly. I came here to kill you. In front of everyone. To show what happens to people who cross me. But standing here now, looking at you, I realize something. Killing you won't fix anything. It won't restore what I've lost. It'll just make me a monster on camera instead of a monster in shadows. So what now? Chief Akwim lowered the gun slightly. Now I tell you a story. About a boy from ABA who watched his father work himself to death in textile factories owned by corrupt businessmen. Who watched his mother beg for food when those factories closed because foreign interests bribed politicians. Who learned young that in Nigeria, only the ruthless survive. I didn't choose to become what I am, Mr. Okonkwo. Nigeria made me. The gun wavered. Lowered slightly. Chief Akwim looked around the room, at the police, at the cameras, at the journalists documenting his final moments of freedom. I should have killed you in Ghana, he said to Chukwuemeka. When I had the chance. Before you made it public. Now it's too late. It was always too late, Chief. The moment you chose this path, this ending was inevitable. Chief Akwim smiled bitterly. Maybe. But I want you to know something, Chukwuemeka. You didn't win because you were better than me. You won because you had resources. Money. Connections. If you'd been a poor man, if you'd been anyone other than a billionaire, I would have crushed you and no one would have cared. Remember that. Your justice only exists because you could afford it. He dropped the gun and raised his hands in surrender. Police swarmed the stage immediately. Chief Akwim was handcuffed, read his rights, and led away. He didn't struggle. Didn't resist. Just walked out with dignity, as if he was going to a business meeting rather than prison. The room exploded with shouting. Journalists surged forward. Questions flew from every direction. Security tried to restore order. Chukwuemeka stood frozen, Chief Ekwim's final words echoing in his mind. Your justice only exists because you could afford it. Was that true? If he'd been a poor man, would anyone have cared about his wife's betrayal, about murder plots, about corruption? Or would he have just been another statistic, another victim lost in Nigeria's everyday chaos? Ademola appeared at his side. Brother, we need to get you out of here. This is turning into a mob. They were escorted out through a back entrance to waiting vehicles. As they drove away from the hotel, Chukwuemeka watched through the window as news helicopters circled overhead, as people gathered on streets to watch the drama unfold. You did it, Ademola said. It's actually over. Is it? Chief Ekwim is in custody. His network is destroyed. The threat is neutralized. Yes, it's over. But Chukwuemeka couldn't shake the feeling that something else was just beginning. At the police headquarters, he gave his statement. Detective Okonkwo looked exhausted but triumphant. This is the biggest case of my career, the detective said. Maybe the biggest case in Nigerian history. You've helped us arrest dozens of corrupt officials, shut down trafficking operations, expose money laundering schemes. Mr. Okonkwo, you're a hero. I don't feel like a hero. Heroes rarely do. But that's what you are. Over the next few days, the dominoes continued to fall. Politicians resigned. Business leaders were arrested. Bank accounts were frozen. The scope of Chief Ekwim's criminal empire was even larger than anyone had suspected, tentacles reaching into government, military, police, judiciary, everywhere. And at the center of it all was Chukwuemeka's story. The billionaire who disguised himself as a gateman, who exposed his wife's murder plot, who stood up to one of West Africa's most dangerous criminals and won. Book offers poured in. Movie producers called. International speaking engagements were proposed. Chukwuemeka was suddenly famous across Africa and beyond. But fame felt hollow. One evening, sitting in his newly secured home in Lagos, he scrolled through news articles about himself. The hero narrative. The triumph of good over evil. The inspirational story of courage and justice. None of it felt real. His phone rang. It was the prison. Ngozi wanted to see him. He almost declined. What was there to say? But curiosity won out. The next day, he went to Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison where Ngozi was being held awaiting trial. She looked terrible. Prison uniform instead of designer clothes. No makeup. Hair unkempt. When she saw him through the glass divider, tears streamed down her face. Chukwuemeka, she whispered into the phone connecting them. Thank you for coming. Why did you want to see me? To apologize. I know it's too late. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. But I need to say it. I'm sorry. For everything. For the lies, for the betrayal, for trying to kill you. I was raised by monsters who taught me that love was weakness and money was everything. I didn't know how to be anything else. You could have chosen differently. Could I? When your entire family is telling you one thing, when that's all you've ever known. I don't know if I ever really had a choice. Everyone has choices, Ngozi. Mr. Okonkwo? This is Jennifer Wu from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. We've been following your case with great interest. Sir, we'd like to offer you a position as a special consultant on anti-corruption initiatives in West Africa. Your experience and willingness to speak truth to power could help us combat organized crime throughout the region. Chukwuemeka listened as she explained the opportunity. Travel, speaking engagements, policy consultation. A chance to turn his personal trauma into systemic change. Can I think about it? He asked. Of course. Take your time. But Mr. Okonkwo? What you did wasn't just brave. It was revolutionary. You showed that powerful criminals can be defeated. That justice is possible even in systems designed to protect the corrupt. Don't underestimate the impact of your story. After the call, Chukwuemeka stood and walked to his window. Lagos stretched before him, chaotic, beautiful, frustrating, full of both danger and possibility. His city. His home. He'd been tested and broken and rebuilt. He'd lost a wife but gained a mission. He discovered that justice was expensive, that heroism was exhausting, and that doing the right thing didn't always feel good. But he'd also discovered something more important, that he was capable of more than he'd ever imagined. That ordinary people could stand against powerful evils. That change, real change, was possible if someone was willing to pay the price. The question now was, what would he do with this knowledge? Would he retreat into comfortable obscurity? Or would he keep fighting? His phone buzzed with one more message. From Detective Okonkwo, brother, just got word. Chief Ekwim has been formally charged with 47 counts of murder, conspiracy, money laundering, and corruption. His trial starts next month. They'll need you to testify. Are you ready? Chukwuemeka looked at the message for a long moment. Then he typed his response. I'm ready. Let's finish this. Because that's what heroes did. They finished what they started. Even when they were tired, even when they were scared, even when victory felt hollow. They finished it. What do you think Chukwuemeka should do next? Retreat from public life or continue fighting corruption? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with anyone who believes in justice. What happens in the final chapter? Stay tuned. 6 months later, Chief Obi Ekwim's trial had become the most watched legal proceeding in Nigerian history. Every major news network provided coverage. International observers monitored for fairness. The courthouse in Lagos was surrounded by security, media, and protesters, some demanding maximum punishment, others claiming the entire trial was politically motivated. Can you imagine testifying against someone who tried to have you killed? Hit that like button if you'd be terrified, and let us know where you're watching from. Chukwuemeka sat in the witness box, facing a courtroom packed with journalists, legal observers, and spectators. Chief Ekwim sat at the defense table in a plain suit, his expensive lawyer whispering in his ear. Their eyes met across the room. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Hawa Muhammad, approached. Mr. Okonkwo, please tell the court in your own words how you first became aware of Chief Ekwim's involvement in your case. Chukwuemeka took a breath and began. He told everything, the discovery of Ngozi's betrayal, his disguise as a gateman, finding evidence of the Adeyemi family's connections to Chief Ekwim, the threats, the extortion attempt, everything. His testimony lasted 3 days. The defense attorney tried to paint him as a vindictive husband seeking revenge, as a manipulator who entrapped innocent people. But the physical evidence was overwhelming. Bank records. Recorded phone calls. Testimony from dozens of witnesses. Mrs. Patience Ekwim's devastating revelations about her husband's crimes. On the 4th day, it was Chief Ekwim's turn to testify. He took the stand with surprising calm. Under questioning from his own lawyer, he admitted to many crimes but justified each one. Yes, I gave money to politicians, he said. Because that's how things work in Nigeria. You want a business license? You pay. You want police protection? You pay. You want your children to get into good schools? You pay. I didn't create this system. I just learned how to navigate it. And the violence? The prosecutor asked during cross-examination. The murders? I never killed anyone personally. I made decisions that led to consequences. Is there a difference? Perhaps not. But show me a successful businessman in Nigeria who hasn't made similar decisions. The only difference is I was better at it than most. You tried to have Mr. Okonkwo killed. Multiple times. I tried to protect my interests. He was threatening to expose operations that employed thousands of people, that funded schools and hospitals in communities the government ignores. His justice would have hurt far more people than it helped. So you believe you were justified? Chief Ekwim looked directly at Chukwuemeka. I believe I did what I had to do in a system that gives people like us only 2 choices, exploit or be exploited. Mr. Okonkwo chose one path. I chose another. History will judge which of us was right. The trial lasted 8 weeks. Finally, the jury deliberated for 3 days before returning their verdict. Guilty on all counts. The courtroom erupted. Chief Ekwim showed no emotion as the judge sentenced him to life in prison without possibility of parole. Multiple life sentences, in fact, one for each murder he'd ordered, plus additional time for fraud, corruption, and conspiracy. You have systematically corrupted our society, the judge said. You have profited from the suffering of countless people. You have treated human life as a commodity to be traded. This court sentences you to spend the rest of your natural life in prison, and can only hope that your removal from society prevents future suffering. As Chief Ekwim. Retrial. Continue. Yum was led away in handcuffs. He paused near Chukwuemeka's seat. Their eyes met one final time. You won, Chief Ekwim said quietly. But the system that created me is still intact. Someone else will take my place. Someone always does. Then he was gone, escorted by armed guards to begin his life sentence. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed Chukwuemeka. Cameras flashed. Microphones were thrust in his face. Mr. Okonkwo. How does it feel to get justice? What's next for you? Do you forgive your ex-wife? Will you write a book about your experience? Chukwuemeka raised his hand for silence. He'd prepared a statement, but looking at the crowd, at the faces of ordinary Nigerians who'd followed his story, who'd invested emotionally in his journey, he decided to speak from his heart instead. 6 months ago, I stood here thinking justice meant revenge. That exposing the people who hurt me would bring peace. But I've learned something important: justice isn't an ending. It's a beginning. Chief Ekwim is going to prison, but the corruption he represented still exists. The systems that enabled him are still in place. So my work isn't finished. None of our work is finished. He paused, gathering his thoughts. I've been offered positions with international organizations. Book deals. I heard about your foundation, she said. I wanted to. I don't know. Apologize again? Thank you for not pushing for maximum sentencing? I'm getting 7 years instead of 15 because you testified about my cooperation. I told the truth. That you helped bring down Chief Ekwim. That you showed remorse. It was the least I could do. It was more than I deserved. She looked around the office, at the case files stacked on desks, at the photos of success stories on the walls, at the evidence of lives being changed. You turned something terrible into something good. I couldn't do that. I'm still just surviving. What will you do after prison? I don't know. My family has disowned me. Chief Adeyemi is serving 20 years, turns out he was embezzling from multiple people, not just you. My mother is in prison too. Tun fled to South Africa and refuses to answer my calls. I have no one. Chukwuemeka felt a surprising pang of sympathy. Despite everything, they'd shared 5 years of marriage. There had been good moments, before the lies consumed everything. There's a rehabilitation program in the prison, he said. For inmates learning job skills. I fund it through the foundation. They teach computer skills, bookkeeping, things that help with employment after release. You should enroll. Give yourself a chance at a real future. Tears filled her eyes. Why would you help me? After everything? Because that's what justice should be. Not just punishment, but rehabilitation. Not just revenge, but restoration. I'm not helping you for your sake, Ngozi. I'm helping you for mine. Because I refuse to let bitterness define who I become. She left shortly after, promising to enroll in the program. Chukwuemeka doubted he'd see her again. Their chapter was closed. But he felt lighter somehow, having offered grace instead of judgment. As months turned into a year, the foundation's work expanded. They won corruption cases against government officials. They protected witnesses in major criminal trials. They provided security for journalists investigating powerful criminals. But the work was exhausting and dangerous. Foundation staff received threats. Their offices were vandalized twice. Chukwuemeka had 3 more assassination attempts, all thwarted by Jeremiah's vigilant security. One night, after a particularly frustrating day where a case was dismissed due to a bribed judge, Chukwuemeka sat in his office feeling defeated. Ademola found him there at midnight. Brother, you look terrible. When's the last time you slept? I don't remember. Ademola, are we actually making a difference? We win 1 case, but 10 more injustices happen. We protect 1 witness, but 5 more are too afraid to come forward. It feels endless. It is endless. That's the point. Justice isn't a destination, it's a process. You can't fix everything, Chukwuemeka. But you can fix some things. And those some things matter. Do they? Chief Ekwim said someone would take his place. He was right. We're already tracking 3 new criminal networks operating in Lagos. We shut down 1 operation, 2 more pop up. It's like fighting shadows. So what's the alternative? Give up? Let evil win unopposed. Ademola sat down across from him. You know what I think your real problem is? You're still looking for that moment of final victory. That Hollywood ending where the hero defeats evil forever. But life doesn't work like that. Evil is persistent. It adapts. It evolves. And fighting it means accepting that the battle never truly ends. That's depressing. Or it's liberating. You're not responsible for winning the whole war. You're just responsible for fighting your battles. And brother, you're winning more than you realize. He pulled out his phone and showed Chukwuemeka a video. It was a young woman, maybe 25, speaking into the camera. My name is Blessing, she said. 3 years ago, my parents were killed by a politician's thugs because they refused to sell their land. Everyone said there was no justice for people like us, poor, powerless. Then I heard about the Truth and Justice Foundation. They took my case. They fought for me. Yesterday, the politician was convicted and my family finally has justice. Mr. Okonkwo, if you ever see this, thank you. You gave me back my faith in Nigeria. Chukwuemeka felt tears prick his eyes. I don't even remember this case. Because you've handled hundreds of cases. You've helped so many people that you can't remember them all. But they remember you. You're changing lives, Chukwuemeka. Maybe not the whole country, not yet. But 1 life at a time. Isn't that enough? It had to be enough. Because it was all he could do. 2 years after Chief Ekwim's conviction, Chukwuemeka received news that the crime lord had died in prison. Heart attack, the official report said. He was 74. Chukwuemeka felt nothing. No satisfaction. No relief. Just a hollow acknowledgement that one chapter was truly closed. He attended the funeral out of a sense of completion. It was a small affair, Mrs. Patience Ekwim and a handful of distant relatives. The powerful friends who'd surrounded Chief Ekwim in life were conspicuously absent in death. Mrs. Ekwim approached Chukwuemeka after the service. "Thank you for coming. Most people stayed away. I came to bear witness. To mark the end." "Is it the end, though?" "My husband was right about one thing, the system that created him is still there. The corruption, the violence, the impunity. Nothing's really changed. Small things have changed. More people are willing to speak up now. More corruption cases are being prosecuted. It's slow, but it's progress." She smiled sadly. "I hope you're right. For all our sakes." She handed him an envelope. "This is for your foundation. Money from Obi's prison account. He had some funds I didn't know about. It's not much, but perhaps it can do some good. Turn his legacy of harm into something helpful." The envelope contained a check for 5 million naira. Chukwuemeka stared at it, feeling the weight of irony. Chief Ekwim's money funding justice initiatives. "I'll use it well," he promised. 3 years after his testimony began, Chukwuemeka stood on stage at a university in Accra, Ghana, the city where he'd found refuge during his darkest moments. He was giving a lecture on corruption and justice to a packed auditorium of students. "The question I'm asked most often," he told the young faces staring up at him, "is whether my revenge was worth it." Whether exposing my wife and taking down Chief Ekwim justified the danger, the cost, the trauma. And my answer is complicated. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Was it worth it for me personally? Honestly, I'm not sure. I lost my marriage, my sense of security, my peace of mind. I gained justice and purpose, yes. But was that an even trade? I don't know. But was it worth it for society? For the people who've been helped by the investigations and trials that followed? For the victims who finally got justice? For the corruption networks that were dismantled? For that, I can say yes. Absolutely yes. Because justice isn't about individual satisfaction. It's about collective good. A student raised her hand. "Mr. Okonkwo, do you ever regret your choices? Do you wish you'd just taken your money and disappeared?" "Every day," he admitted. "When I receive death threats, when I lie awake at night worried about my staff's safety, when I see how much work still needs to be done, yes, I regret it. But then I meet someone like Blessing, whose life was changed because we fought for her. Or I see a corrupt official finally facing consequences. Or I watch young people like you becoming inspired to fight injustice. And in those moments, I don't regret anything." After the lecture, as he prepared to leave, his phone rang. It was Detective Okonkwo calling from Lagos. "Chukwuemeka, I have news. Remember Ngozi? Your ex-wife?" His stomach tightened. "What about her?" She completed her sentence. Got out 6 months early for good behavior and completing educational programs. And brother, she's been volunteering at a women's shelter for domestic violence victims. She's been teaching financial literacy classes, helping women escape abusive situations. Apparently, she's completely turned her life around. Chukwuemeka sat down heavily. Of all the outcomes he'd imagined, this wasn't one of them. Is she asking for anything? Money? Help? No. I only found out because one of the shelter workers contacted me. She wanted you to know that your ex-wife is doing good work. Thought you'd want to hear it. After the call ended, Chukwuemeka sat in the empty auditorium, processing this information. Ngozi, his betrayer, his would-be murderer, was now helping abuse victims. Was redemption really possible? Could people truly change? He thought about Chief Ekwim's dying words, filtered through Mrs. Ekwim, "Tell him I was wrong. Tell him change is possible after all." She'd shared that message 6 months ago, claiming her husband had undergone a transformation in prison before his heart attack. Chukwuemeka had been skeptical. But now, learning about Ngozi's change. Maybe redemption was real. Maybe people could grow beyond their worst moments. Maybe justice included the possibility of transformation. That evening, back in Lagos, Chukwuemeka called a meeting of the Foundation's board. Ademola, Amina, Jeremiah, Detective Okonkwo, and several other key staff members gathered in their conference room. "I've been thinking," Chukwuemeka began. About what our foundation should really be. Right now, we focus on prosecution, catching criminals, winning cases, getting convictions. And that's important. But what about after? What about rehabilitation? What about giving people who've made terrible choices a path back to society? You want to help criminals? One board member asked skeptically. I want to help humans. Yes, some of them committed crimes. But if we believe in justice, we have to believe in redemption too. Otherwise, what's the point? We just create more broken people instead of healing broken systems. The discussion lasted hours. Some board members objected strongly. Why should they help the very people they'd fought to imprison? But others, particularly Amina, supported the idea enthusiastically. Sir, she said, you gave me a second chance when you could have just paid me off and sent me away. That changed my life. Maybe other people deserve that chance too. Eventually, they agreed to create a new division within the foundation focused on prisoner rehabilitation and reintegration programs. It was controversial, some donors threatened to pull funding, some staff resigned in protest. But Chukwuemeka felt it was right. For years after Chief Ekwim's conviction, on the anniversary of that fateful press conference where everything had come to a head, Chukwuemeka sat in his office reflecting on his journey. He was no longer a billionaire businessman primarily focused on wealth. He was something different now, an activist, an advocate, a symbol of resistance against corruption. His company still thrived under Ademola's management, providing the resources that funded the foundation's work. But Chukwuemeka's heart was in justice, not profit. He'd never remarried. Never even dated seriously. The betrayal had left scars that hadn't healed. Maybe they never would. But he'd found purpose, and perhaps that was enough. His phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Mr. Okonkwo, you don't know me, but you saved my father's life. Your foundation prosecuted the people who were trying to kill him for witnessing a murder. He's safe now because of you. I just wanted to say thank you. You're a hero to our family. He saved the message. Added it to a folder of similar messages he kept for days when the work felt hopeless. Reminders that it mattered. That he mattered. A knock on his door. Amina entered with a young woman, maybe 19 or 20. Sir, this is Chioma. She's starting as an intern with the foundation today. And sir, she has a story I think you should hear. Chioma sat down nervously. Mr. Okonkwo, 5 years ago, my uncle was killed by his business partner. Everyone said it was suicide, but we knew it was murder. We had no money for lawyers, no way to fight. We tried to get justice, but the police wouldn't listen. Eventually, we gave up. She took a breath. Then I read your story. About how you disguised yourself as a gateman to expose the truth. About how you fought even when everyone said you couldn't win. And I thought, if he can do it, maybe I can too. So I enrolled in law school. I studied every night. And now I'm here, learning from you, so that one day I can help families like mine get justice. Chukwuemeka felt tears threaten. Chioma, your uncle's case. Do you still have evidence? Witness statements. Some. Why? Because now you have a lawyer. Well, a foundation full of lawyers. Let's look at your uncle's case. It's not too late for justice. As Chioma left with Amina to gather case files, Ademola entered. You're doing it again, he said with a smile. Taking on impossible cases because you can't say no. Someone has to. Yes. And I'm glad it's you. He handed Chukwuemeka a document. The board approved it unanimously. We're opening 3 new foundation offices, in Nairobi, Accra, and Johannesburg. Your model is spreading, brother. You're starting a movement across Africa. Chukwuemeka looked at the expansion plans, feeling overwhelmed and honored in equal measure. What had started as personal revenge had become something much larger. A real chance to change systems, to fight injustice on a continental scale. Do you ever miss the simple life? He asked Ademola. When we were just businessmen worried about profit margins and investment returns? Sometimes. But then I remember that simple life was built on ignoring injustice. On pretending corruption wasn't our problem. I prefer this complexity. At least now we're trying to make things better. That evening, Chukwuemeka stood on his balcony watching Lagos's sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. For years ago, he'd been a man broken by betrayal, driven by anger, seeking revenge at any cost. Now he was, what? A crusader? A reformer? An imperfect man trying to do good in an imperfect world? His phone rang one last time. It was Ngozi. He almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. Hello? Chukwuemeka. I heard about the Foundation's new rehabilitation programs. I wanted to say, thank you. For believing people can change. For giving second chances. How are you, Ngozi? Better. Genuinely better. I'm not the person I was. Prison, therapy, actually helping people, it changed me. I know I can never undo what I did to you. But I'm trying to make sure my future is better than my past. That's all any of us can do. A pause. Then, do you think you'll ever forgive me? Not now, maybe. But someday? Chukwuemeka thought about it honestly. I don't know. But I'm trying. And maybe that's enough for now. It is. Thank you, Chukwuemeka. For everything. For exposing the truth, even though it hurt. For fighting for justice, even when it was hard. For being the man I should have loved better when I had the chance. After they hung up, Chukwuemeka remained on the balcony as night fell over Lagos. The city that had tested him, broken him, and ultimately remade him. He thought about Chief Ekwim's final question, was it worth it? The answer, he finally understood, wasn't simple. It was both yes and no. Yes, because justice mattered. Because exposing corruption saved lives. Because fighting back was better than surrendering. But also no. Because victory came at such a high cost. Because the work was never finished. Because some wounds never fully healed. Yet standing here, 4 years later, Chukwuemeka realized something important. He'd started this journey seeking revenge, wanting to hurt the people who hurt him. But he'd ended it pursuing justice, wanting to help people who couldn't help themselves. That transformation, from revenge to justice, from bitterness to purpose, from victim to advocate, that was the real victory. Not the convictions or the headlines or the foundation's success. But the fact that betrayal hadn't destroyed him. It had revealed him. And maybe that was enough. His phone buzzed one final time. A message from the young woman whose father the foundation had saved. My dad wanted me to tell you something. He says in Igbo, there's a proverb, Ani widara ibeya, chukwu wetaraya, whoever helps others, God will help them too. You helped us. May God always help you. Chukwuemeka smiled in the darkness. He didn't know if God was watching, if justice would ultimately prevail, if his work would matter in the grand scheme of history. But he knew he'd tried. He'd fought. He'd stood up when he could have stayed down. He'd chosen truth over safety, justice over wealth, purpose over comfort. And perhaps, in a world full of Chief Ekwims and corrupt systems and endless injustice, that was the most heroic thing an ordinary person could do. Not to win every battle. But to keep fighting. Not to change the whole world. But to change some corner of it. Not to achieve perfect justice. But to pursue imperfect justice with perfect determination. As Lagos settled into night, with millions of stories unfolding in its streets, Chukwuemeka Okonkwo made a decision. Tomorrow, he would wake up and continue the fight. He would take on more cases, help more people, challenge more corruption. Because that's what heroes did. Not the perfect heroes of movies and stories. But the real heroes, flawed, tired, sometimes afraid, but absolutely unwilling to quit. And maybe, just maybe, that was the greatest revenge of all. Not destroying his enemies. But becoming someone so committed to good that their evil couldn't touch him anymore. The Gateman had become a guardian. The victim had become a victor. The broken man had become whole. And the story? The story was just beginning. The end. Thank you so much for watching this incredible journey. What did you think of Chukwuemeka's transformation? Did justice prevail? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like this video, share it with friends and family who love powerful drama, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping African stories like this one. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next upload. Where are you watching from? Comment your location below, we love hearing from our global family. God bless you all, and remember, never let betrayal destroy you. Let it reveal your strength. Folded hands, red heart.